a broadcloth skirt tucked away in a box. Photo albums with unfamiliar faces in unfamiliar surroundings. A fiddle hanging among the joists in the basement, which no one ever touched. Colorful yarn sashes stashed in the garage. To a teenager of the 1960s, such heirlooms seemed exotic to the life she knew. What did these things mean? Nothing. We're only German. The passing of time now allows rays of light to probe into forgotten family histories, revealing bigger pictures which were previously relegated to the dustbin of the past. Join us as we pry open the lid of Portage's so-called half-breed heritage. As we rediscover forgotten ancestors, we come to appreciate the breadth and depth of a time when our place was le Portage Métis. Upon his arrival at Portage's Fort Winnebago from the east in 1834, sutler Henry Merrill mused, "At this time there were no white American inhabitants outside the fort, except the Indian agent Robert McCabe." Juliet Kinsey, whose husband had been agent, essentially an ambassador, before McCabe, echoed this sentiment in her memoir, Waban. Nevertheless, in addition to Ho-Chunks, both she and Merrill spoke frequently of yet another community of people at Portage with whom they interacted. People they would describe as non-white, but also non-native. During the 1830s, this people group constituted the resident majority at the Portage beyond the walls of Fort Winnebago, second only to a larger seasonal indigenous presence. It is ironic that these people who formed such a colorful, robust, and storied community at Portage during this era have largely faded from our collective memory today. The French word métis denotes being mixed, referring to combined ethnic parentage. The dynamics of the Great Lakes fur trade led to many French people marrying into the indigenous people groups alongside whom they worked. Other ethnicities of the Old World were added to the mix. To most English speakers, these mixed ethnic people were half-breeds. To the Métis themselves, their identity was more complex than that. Some were fully integrated into their parent indigenous nation. Others considered themselves French Canadians. Still others identified themselves as something in between, distinct altogether. Much cultural complexity is packed into the simple term Métis. These diverse people became significant players in the stories of converging European and indigenous cultures going back over 3 centuries. How strange, then, that it is the rare exception among today's generation to have grown up knowing of their Métis ancestry. Until relatively recent times, being considered a half-breed carried with it such a social stigma that many families chose to bury this aspect of their lineage, seal away its evidence, figuratively and sometimes literally. Special family stories and unique connections with significant figures in Wisconsin's past were stored away as the price of getting by in society. Today, perhaps the passage of time, along with the advent of broadly accessible internet genealogical libraries, has brought a shift. Families are beginning to rediscover fascinating chapters in their past. As the fog lifts and the missing dots are reconnected, it's an opportune time for a second look at Portage's past through the lens of those rediscovered ancestors. Who were these people as individuals? What was this in-between settlement at Portage? Come along with us as we meet these families, explore their lives, grasp the challenges they faced, and trace how they navigated the turbulence of the 19th century into our present day. Chuckle with us along the way at our flawed attempts to pronounce French, while we endeavor to fill in the broader picture of Métis Portage.